Students, I welcome you all for today's session. You have already done the four basic mathematical operations, that is addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. Now we'll be doing the various sums on the basis of these mathematical operations, but today we'll be having a combination of two or more operations together. For that, I call upon a student of my class whose name is Rahul to solve this particular sum. That is 6 plus 5 multiplied by 8 minus 7. Rahul, first solve 6 plus 5, that is 11 multiplied by 8 minus 7. Then 88 minus 7, which is equal to 81. The same sum was also given to another student of the class whose name is Myra. She solved this sum like 6 plus 5 multiplied by 1, that is 6 plus 5, and she gets her answer as 11. Now students, as you can see that the sum was same to both Rahul and Myra, but their answers differ. This difference in answer, that is 81 and 11, is not permissible in mathematics. There has to be the same answer. Yes, the approach can be different to solve, but the answer needs to be same. Then what went wrong? How can we simplify these sums? Let's see the simplification. So the topic for the day, students, is simplification. Simplification is a process of making an equation simpler or easier to understand. For equations which have two or more operations, that is addition, subtraction, multiplication or division. For to have a rule of BODMAS. Now what is this BODMAS? BODMAS is an acronym which helps us remember the correct order to solve mathematical calculations. Now BODMAS stands for. Here B stands for bracket, O is for off, D for division, M for multiplication, A for addition, and S for subtraction. Students, this is the correct sequence of various mathematical operations in which we have to solve the sum. So now on the basis of this BODMAS was called to solve this sum, and here is John. He, keeping in mind the rule of BODMAS, solved this sum. Here, as you can see, the bracket of and division is not there. So Joel started with multiplication, that is 6 plus 40 minus 7. Now addition, that is 6 plus 40, 46 minus 7, and his final answer came to be 39. So students, this is the correct answer to this. He kept in mind the rule of BODMAS. Now, on this basis only, we'll be doing the various sums of exercise 5.8. Remember the rule of BODMAS. Here we have question number 3. It has a question, that is 10 divided by 2 plus 1000. As you can see in the question, we have the bracket. The first one that we need to solve is the division, which is in the bracket. For that, I have a rough column where I'll be dividing 10 by 2. You know how to divide. 2 is 5 times in 10, So 10 minus 10 is 0. Now, in my rough, I'll write 5 in place of 10 divided by 2 plus 1000. Again, I add up these two numbers to find the sum, that is 1005. And here I get the final answer as 1005. Right? Now let's see, that is question number 4. It says 50 multiplied by 2 plus 40 divided by 2. Here, as you can see, we have brackets, then we have division, multiplication, addition. So first we are going to solve the first bracket, that is 50 multiplied by 2 in my rough column. I'd multiply and I found the product to be 100. So I write 100 plus the second bracket, that is 40 divided by 2. Now my second step is to divide 40 divided by 2 in my rough column. Here I get 2 times 2 is 4. I subtract and get 0. Then I bring down 0, so it becomes 2 times 0 is 0. And when I subtract, I get nothing. So in my fair, again I write 100 plus 20. I add up the two numbers, that is 120, to get 120. So my final answer that I get for this sum is 120. Now students, let's see the next number 6. And it says 318 multiplied by 5 minus 54 divided by 3. I'll solve in my rough column the first bracket, that is a product of 318 and 5. Here, if you see, I get the product as 1590. So I write it 1590 minus 54 divided by 3, which is in the bracket. So the next step is to solve 54 by 3. Here 3 times 1 is 3 and 5 minus 3 I get 2. I bring down the next digit, that is 4, and it becomes 24. 3 goes 8 times in 24. So 24 minus 24 is 0. Now I write 1590 minus 18. So again in my rough column, I found the difference of 1590 minus 18. As you can see, 0 has to be there. I have to subtract 8 from 0, which is not possible. So I go to the tens digit and I borrow from there. So it becomes 1572 after subtracting the two numbers. So my final answer becomes 1572. Now question, that is question number 8. It says 108 divided by 9 plus 50 multiplied by 17. Now in my first bracket, I've got the division, which is to be solved in my rough column. I divide 108 by 9 and I get the quotient as 12, right? So I write 12 plus 50 multiplied by 17. Now my next step is to find the product of 50 and 17. Here, when I multiply, I get the final product as 850. So it becomes 12 plus 850. I add up these two numbers and I get it 862. So 12 plus 850 is equal to 862, which is my final answer. Right, students? So this is how we have to simplify the various sums which have more mathematical operations, that is, if there are two or more than that. Always remember the rule of BODMAS to solve these. I hope it's all clear to you. Happy listening it, and thank you.